Yeah.
Thank you. So we have first to motion to approve the minutes from the August meeting. My apologies for that mistake on the schedule. For the August meeting, do I have has everyone read them? Yes. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Before we go into the preliminary reports update, I would like to simply just quickly open the not debate, but understanding of how the minutes are posted. There's been some issues in terms of timing. And Michelle had been looking into this, and perhaps, Jolie, if you could explain to us, I'm not sure everybody will, but I'll repeat what you said, so that there are some issues as to which one gets posted, and I just want to make sure we organize ourselves so that we have the final ones that are properly posted.
So by law, they have to be turned in to the village within 2 weeks of the meeting.
Yeah. So
1
by
to
law,
2
the
weeks,
minutes
but
have to be turned into the village
and I turn them in
within 2
directly.
weeks.
Yes, exactly, as is directly.
As directed, yeah.
Then in the past, they were not posted, but they were held by the village, so they were noted as turned in. Right. And then once they were approved, then they were posted.
They were only approved once, they were only posted
Right.
once approved.
But that was the way that it was done, but I don't know if that was the way that it should have been done.
Okay.
So
we were doing that like that in the past, but we have gotten into
Right.
the mode of doing it properly,
exactly.
legally, which is a posting after 2 weeks.
Exactly. And I don't know the law on that at all.
Okay.
But
That's,
until they're approved.
That's how you needed it.
Right. So the way it was done in the past may not have been the correct way, and this is the way now.
Okay.
So, but the minutes are, just so everyone's clear, the minutes are a summary of what went on. So it's not, I'm not a transcriptionist. So it's not going to be exact wording that is said. So if you want some wording changed, that's fine. But if the idea is conveyed there, then it's probably going to be okay for the public to see, unless there's some huge error.
Right. Got it. Thank you for that. So.
And and one other thing, the video is for all the other boards, the legal.
Okay.
Right. That would be what would be used in a court of law, not necessarily the minutes. Sometimes they do submit the minutes, but usually they use the recording.
So what you're saying, I'm repeating because you're not on mic.
Yeah.
Everybody knows and understands. The point is that the video actually serves as or minutes as the quote unquote legal method of record.
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily the written notes.
Exactly.
So thank you for that. I will say that I think it might be useful for us to be quicker on the turnaround within that 2 weeks of the minutes for any comment or editing that anyone has. And I think what we should do to avoid confusion for Julie and have multiple versions circulating is as someone on the board takes responsibility for getting everybody's input of the minutes and within the prescribed 2 weeks collect everybody's edits and send them to Jolie, send her one copy that will be the posted copy.
That would be really nice for me too.
I appreciate as chair that I got to do the agenda, I got to do a number of other things, but there we go. Thank you. You've read my mind. So Jeannie will act as our note guardian to make sure we got good notes, and we'll take responsibility, all of us, to get to Jeannie any edits. And once the deadline will be 2 weeks, and within 15 days of the meeting, Jeannie will send them one copy to Jolie for posting. And we'll do it that way going forward. That'll be great. So thank you for that. We can clarify this and how we're going to move going forward so that we do have good records, at least in the notes. Good. So let's start in terms of some of the reports updates. Michael, I should have been had any public meetings since the last planning commission, and is there anything relevant that was shared during that time?
Yes, we did back, a couple of weeks ago in August, we had a tree meeting. Very interesting. We had a presentation done by a software company called Tree Plotter. Len was there, along with the rest of the committee. He's going to be the village liaison now. And it's a proposal to actually, inventory trees, public trees. Quite interesting, a little expensive, but it's, I think it's now in another meeting. Len asked for other proposals as to just the one that we got from this particular company, Tree Plotter. So, I think Len was pretty, happy with it, wants to move forward with it, and, Public Works Department is extremely happy that we're pushing it to get this kind of, software. So it's work in progress. On that front, we have, the new bucket truck that came in, quite expensive, but we do have the new, bucket truck, and they are using it. And, I would stress that if anybody in the audience or the village is watching this, if you can give us information as to distressed trees that you might see, or anything that needs to be taken care of, please, give us the address. As I go around the village, I write them down, I present them at the meeting, and Steve takes care of them pretty regularly. So if anybody can submit those addresses to us, it would be a great help to Steve. He probably knows where they are already, but in case he misses them. Okay? That's about it for the
Okay.
trees.
So, one question, the point you just made in terms of public asking or referring to trees that the person's mind needs some care. C-Click Fix is one other way to do that, and I've seen many people actually documenting in C-Click Fix issues. It might be easier for you guys to process rather than dealing with a phone call, discussions. It takes a long time to deal with some member of the public who thinks the tree's gonna fall. But encouraging C-Click Fix, it's already been working that way.
Great idea. Very good idea.
You know, and then Steve Phillips does see the
It goes
C-Click Fix.
directly to Steve.
Yeah, so he would know. So I would argue to use that technology, and then you can see whether it's been taken care of or not, right? And whether the item is still open or closed, or it's been dealt with and closed. Just a thought. So that's one. The other is on the Tree Plotter. Can you share with us a bit more how that works? Is it so you're gonna take an inventory, and then can you use it for a tree management plan thereafter? Is that the concept?
Yes, yes. Well, part of the proposal was, it's run off of Google Maps.
Right.
Part of the proposal was to inventory each tree. This company hires out individuals to go and walk the streets of Southampton and inventory every tree.
Okay.
That's the expensive part. That's $4 to $6 a tree. $4 to $6 a tree.
Should be inventory.
That's correct.
Hold on a second. We've got 15,000 trees roughly in the village, so
Correct.
that's $100,000.
I told you it was expensive.
Okay.
I didn't say it was cheap, but we can also do this in phases. You can, I suggested to him that maybe we can get $25,000 a year and do a quarter of the village, and that's all, and then do another quarter. that do actually walk the streets. They have criteria as to how much we want to spend on each tree, as to how much information they actually put into the system. I had asked if we could do this with volunteers, people in the village just walking around and could inventory their own streets or the blocks. They suggested that they need the expert arborist to do it, to get the right information, what type of tree it is, and I concur that I probably wouldn't be able to tell difference between an elm or oak or a pine. Well, I do know pine, but so
You know better than that, Michael.
it's still, we're still working on it. It was very good presentation on Zoom call. The fellow was from Oklahoma, and it's all software based, and it was pretty interesting.
Tell me about the grant, because there are grants out there every year for that purpose. Do you know when the next one is and how we can
No.
actually get dollars in the door to pay
Well,
for
we
this?
talk about grants every meeting. I bring them up every meeting, and I think I'm getting to them. We need to get in touch with the grant writer through Steve. We think it's through Steve, to take note. But from what I understand, she's extremely busy, and she has a lot of other projects, and trees aren't on the forefront.
Okay.
Right
I
now.
mean, if I just sitting in the shoes of Trustee Zananti, I would prefer to seek a grant and get that in order rather than ask the village taxpayer to foot $100,000 for a program like this without even going through the grant system. I find that odd.
Oh no, I didn't say we're not going to try to get the grant.
But do we know just some of the basics? Who are the guys who do it? Because I've seen those grants in the past. I've passed them along, but don't recall. But I know. I think it's an annual process for this grant.
Okay. Well, I'm sure there's several different. There
Well, it
is a
might be
specific
different.
grant, I think, for inventory of trees.
I've seen that last time. I know I passed it to some people in the past. I'd have to go back through my notes. They're out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll have to. That's also another topic that we have to sort of discuss. Get moving forward.
Anyone else want to help Mr. Anderson on locating the grants when they're there?
I used to be on the advisory board for Bard College's MBA program in sustainability,
Right.
and I can reach out to the dean and see if we can pull in one of the grad students to assist. I know there's
Well, to write the grant. But the first question is, who are putting these grants out there?
I was gonna
And
get
what's
to
the
that.
cycle?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Because we also run a family office, not-for-profit called Inspire Growth New York for the environment, for housing and education. So we work with other not-for-profits. And there's a major research library in Manhattan that is basically a data pool of all types of grants nationally and internationally. So all it takes is just a real bright individual that maybe can be sponsored and target, let's say, 12 grant agencies, and then go after what those criteria are. It's really not that Herculean. I'll look into it
That would
if you'd
be
like.
great. Yeah, the two of you, if you could. I think that's great. That would help us. And then you don't have a budget. Because for trees in the
Yeah,
budget, I
sure.
think we're allocating, if I recall, 35,000 on the budgetary line. There's no way you're going to triple that number.
Mm-hmm. Well, if we want to take the tree situation in the village seriously, the village is going to have to start coming up with
with the
some
money. No, I got it
and do,
for sure.
do some things that need to be done because
Yeah. Okay.
we haven't done anything in quite some time.
No, I agree with you. But I think if we can get the help of Jacob on this, that would be awesome. I think that's a great initiative. Let's do that.
What would also what I would suggest, just by approving grants and writing other types of grants, is if we can formulate an executive request sheet, meaning we are the Planning Commission of the Historic Village of Southampton. We are working towards a very vital inventory assessments of over 15,000 trees in our village. We have been, if I can use the word, mandated to seek out grants to help defray, let's say, $250,000 worth of cost. Otherwise, it's like shooting it in the dark. Even if you identify them, it acts as a bit more credibility if we articulate in a letterhead, you being the chairman, and saying, we look forward to working for the approval conditions of so-and-so grants, something in an official letterhead, I think.
So let's just take this offline, but you and I can work on that one.
Yeah.
And then you can work with Michael on the implementation. That would be awesome. Thank you for that, Jacob. This is great.
Let me do some homework.
Yeah.
as well.
Okay. And then you and I can work on that. If we think we got to do it, we'll do it. And then we'll work with Michael, and that would be, I think, awesome. Do you welcome that, Michael? Yeah?
I do.
That's great. Okay, good. Nothing else on that topic then? We move on to the next. Oh, Sheila has a question. Yes, please do. You'll have to come to the mic and identify yourself for the record.
Right.
Thank you, Sheila.
Sheila Pfeiffer, Hildreth Street, Southampton Village. If you're going to look for grants, you should look at the New York State NYSERDA programs, especially Climate Smart Communities. I don't have it here with me, but there's a long checklist, and something about trees is in there. I don't know if it would cover inventory. But my other question is, and I don't take this the wrong way, but I'm kind of astonished that an RFP doesn't go out for something as big as this. I mean, a company comes with a great proposal and you say, great. I mean, aren't you going to get at least 3 bids?
Yes.
Okay.
This is just the beginning process.
All right. I'm just, it's like, I never heard of any municipality not,
Sheila,
issuing a formal thing and then
No.
getting.
The trustees don't even know we're in the process
Yeah,
of doing this.
that's fine.
Okay.
So, Sheila, I understand there is a procurement policy that's fairly clear in
Right.
Village Hall.
I figured.
And any item over $20,000 requires an RFP process unless there has been previous work that's been done. I mean, there are
Yeah,
ways.
I'm sure. I just wanted
But
to.
yes, the procurement policy calls exactly for what you said. Okay, so private trees. So I'm following your recommendation, Michael, and I know Mrs. Pfeiffer as well. I did sit down with the chair of the ARB to get that board's opinion on the topic. We also had a meeting 3 weeks ago with the council of the ARB to work with the village attorney and myself on formulating what we're looking to do according to the master plan. So we've had those discussions. And Eileen and I are set to sit down again next week to start drafting. So we're in good shape to get everybody's input. And it was, and thank you for the input. We got some really useful observation from the ARB on that.
Good.
So that's there. And I will say what I found interesting that I learned is that the ARB does and has made decision based on not historical trees, but relevant trees. Forget the terms that we use. And has in certain cases issued decisions based on protecting such heritage tree. That's the word I was looking for. And they have a number of cases in the last 6 months where they have, in fact, protected trees in the case of an ARB approval, which I thought was interesting. I haven't talked to the ZBA chair yet, Luke Ferran, on that topic, but certainly we can, because there is an idea after that from obtaining a zoning exception to try to see how the ZBA, without a complicated and an overwhelming regulation beyond what we're trying to do, which are the setbacks, to actually be mindful of trying to come with solutions from a zoning to try to preserve heritage trees. But I'm sure Luke would be interested in some of those thoughts. So I should have something. I hope Eileen who's got a number of other items on her plates, and we'll talk about what those are when it comes to cell service in a minute, and other work that she's doing. But we hope to have some draft, hopefully by, let's say, the end of the month, on that. So that's that for as an update. Moving on to Project Diamond, as it's called. We had a meeting today with Diamond Communication, and Michel Brogard is going to update us on that. It was quite extensive, and a lot of good stuff came out of it.
Thank you, Christian. So you remember that we have been working on this project diligently for now a year. The problem is the coverage for our first respondents, the police, the ambulance, and the fire department. They are suffering from poor and no coverage areas of the village of Southampton. The Motorola equipment they rely upon is situated far away, north of the highway on Wireless Way. And so with this process, we have gone through long analysis. We have spoken to all the different constituents, and we went through an RFP, and we selected Diamond Communications to help us solve the issue. They have been very diligent. They have been on site several times. We spent quite a bit of time with them in late August. We visited different sites with the mayor, with Len Zinenti, with Rick Fowler from the fire department. They have done very thorough radio frequency propagation analysis and maps. They've looked at 40 locations within the village. They have helped us understand the pros and cons of all these different locations, including zoning analysis and constructability at each of the sites. We met again today at length for a couple hours. At the meeting, we had 6 people from Diamond, including their engineers. We had Len Zinenti, we had the mayor, we had Eileen Powers, who is going to negotiate the ground lease. On this subject, to the credit of Diamond Communications, they have been working diligently without a signed contract, so all the work they are providing to the village so far is not protected by any contract and based on the good relationship and the confidence they have that we're going to move forward. No decisions have been made. We continue to think. We continue to ask a lot of questions. They have a lot of experience. They're coming back to us with further analysis. And as mentioned in previous Planning Commission meetings, there will be an opportunity for the public to comment on the possible locations for a tower to solve the coverage issue. Christian?
Okay. Thank you for this. Yeah, I was there at the meeting, and I thought it was very professional in terms of the deficiency studies that were presented by Diamond Communication. They did a really good job. working through, I think, 40 different possibilities within the village of location, propagation, capacity review. And this is something that they will share with the public at some point over the next couple of months. There's some regulatory things that have to be done, environmental studies, etc. So some of those things will have to be done concurrently. But really, good super work. I think we're on track. We were sort of all hoping, and I just want to set expectations that this would be done by, let's say, next summer, by June next summer. That includes, what is it, 5 to 6 weeks of construction once everything is approved, etc. So we're going to do a Gantt chart for everybody to know what they need to do from a public hearing process, secret and other environmental process, zoning issues, etc., and run all this through. I'm not sure. We're going to try to squeeze the Gantt chart into a completed project by June. Honestly, I think we all would like it to be ready for next summer. There's actually so much to do in the next 9 months, starting obviously getting the public input in terms of this very important public safety initiative. I'm not that confident that we'll have it by the summer, but certainly everybody's really going to work hard to see if we can get at least close to that. But thank you, Michel, for all your efforts on that. He's done a lot while I was away on this and getting this project moving. So that's been great. Let's see. So just very quickly, I don't think you have much to update, Jeannie, but the business revitalization in terms of some of the conference you said happened last Tuesday?
So yeah, we had our meeting at the end of July, and there's a follow-up meeting that we're trying to schedule now in September. But Tuesday, Dee Dee, God help, sent a notice around that the Discover Long Island has, speaking of grants, money to spend on post-Labor Day marketing initiatives. And I'm going to be hooking up with Eldon tomorrow to get an update. I wasn't able to be there. I was in New York, but hopefully by next meeting we'll have meetings set and a more robust formal agenda.
Okay. Thank you. I just had one question for you. Speaking to merchants, I do understand that there is an issue with where people are who are working in the stores, where they're parking, and that whether it's a real estate office, whether it's
Citarella came up. That conversation came up at our last meeting.
It did, and so you'll have on your sort of list of things to look at, if there is a solution for employees of a business to be parking somewhere else than the customer of the business. Now, I do understand some people say, well, not the government's problem, it's the business's problem. Having said that, I think recommendations on that would be because I hear that quite a bit.
No, it did come up, and I think the gestalt of the whole committee is to look at everything holistically and be able to come up with a solution that makes sense.
Right. Okay.
not
So
there
this
yet.
did come up.
It
Okay.
did come up, yes.
Good. All right. Thank you for that. Update on deer management. I don't know. Do you have anything on that, Michael?
I do.
Okay. Good.
Hunting season starts September 15th, I understand. But
Okay.
speaking to Michael today, the village doesn't want, the mayor and the trustees would not like to have any hunting done until October 1st because they feel there's too many people, too many residents out here at the time. So our start date's October 1st.
Okay.
He's out there hanging tree stands now. We just lost
one of our sites, Brockett Funeral Home, which was,
Really? That's fertile.
yes, it was, we took out 14 deer out of there and we just lost that site. So it's imperative that we get as many new sites as possible to help Michael facilitate the program.
Can I ask, when you say we lost the site, what does that mean?
Permission to hunt on the property.
And was there a reason?
His wife, Dominic Abadi's wife, they now have 2 young children and didn't want to stand on the property any longer. Even though it was in the back far away, but she just was opposed to it.
Got it.
So that's a critical area. A lot of deer are back in there. They bed in there. So in any event, we lost it. I have a document to give to everybody here that Michael wrote. And it was, this is now the 3rd or 4th version of this document. It's called the Coastal Approach to Suburban Deer Management for Southampton Village. He wrote this for the village to give to the DEC so we can get the proper permits from the DEC. He has spoken to the DEC, has given them the final copy, final draft, and she has approved it. Our next step now is to go in front of the village attorney. I want to speak to the village attorney myself and see what actually needs to be done for us to approve this so the DEC has can get permission, what needs to be done. I don't know anything about that process, so I want to submit all this to all the trustees and the mayor, but I didn't want to inundate them with a lot of paperwork. So this is the final version. If you guys would like to read, it's pretty comprehensive and it's very well written. We went over it several times. Michael and I took things in and out.
You should.
And hopefully we can get this approval, which I don't think will be an issue with the trustees, whether it has to be a resolution. And then then we can go back to the DEC saying that the village approved it and we can get our permits. So we've been working really hard on this for the last 2 months.
You really have, Michael. Thank you very much for the amount of work that's going on. Both Michaels, you and Mr. Tessitore
He's
have
watching.
done it. Huh?
He's watching.
I'm sure he is. This is wonderful. We'll make sure to read it. What I find interesting when you go through numbers on page 22, total deer harvested 103. I know Michael hates me to say this, but I'm a numbers guy. If you add what the DPW picks up and you guesstimate what other deers are taken down by residents separately from the program,
Private hunters.
we're probably at 150 of them that got taken off the street.
At a minimum.
And, I always have this math, and nobody's discredited my view that we were talking about 100 per square mile, so 650 animals. So if we've taken 150, we're sort of minus 150, but their birth. So we're down to maybe 80 per square mile, and I think our objective is 40 per square mile. It's 30 per square mile. Okay. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done, which brings me to the next topic is you guys were really good at taking an inventory of what you'd like for parcels, and that brings it even more since if you lost Brockett was, 15-18% of your total last year, so we really need to make an effort on that.
Perhaps now that we're coming into season, a one-page outreach again to all the property owners, because there is still, similar to the family who own the funeral home, and I have, and some of us I'm sure have other friends here in the village they don't want to see deer being hunted, but I think a reacclamation of a one-page appeal to say that we're actually doing the environment good by helping with curing some of the population. A one-pager reminder, perhaps.
Well,
Because
that's a
now we're in
great,
the thick of it.
great idea, Jacob, and I have approached village trustees about that, and I have yet to convince them that that would be a good idea.
I see.
What's the, they just don't want to be public about it? Is that the issue? Or what is the issue?
Pretty much, that's the issue.
That's the issue. Okay. Got it. All right.
I can't even get his address on the village webpage. I've been trying to get something on the village webpage, and they won't let me do it.
Okay. So look, you circulated this spreadsheet of the sites you wanted. Now that I'm taking a second look at it, there are a couple of people I could reach out to. But I'm wondering, unfortunately, a lot of these here don't have
entities.
names. They got business entity, right? So I don't know, number 8 Old Town Lane. You know, it's held by 8 Old Town LLC with an address of Old Town Lane and Hillside.
But that's the public record.
I know. Is there any way to figure out what we can unearth, who's behind it, so we can find that? If we know that person, reach out to them. Any thoughts as to how to do this?
I don't know how you can get the name to the property if that's the whole reason of an LLC. They don't want you to know.
I can probably dust up the old blue books that I that I used to advertise, and I don't even know if that's
Keene
even around.
Property.
is.
If anybody knows anybody from Keene Property,
That's the biggest one, yeah.
that's huge.
On
and-
Old Town Lane?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean there are so many deer in there that.
There's
We
one
tried-
particular parcel of 2 acres. I mean, there's a party going on in there every night of 25 of them.
And there's a private hunter in there. Michael, Suffolk County Deer Management did have a stand in there, and a private hunter approached him and said, "This is his property. He has permission by the owner to hunt there and leave." So we left. But the problem with these private hunters is they want the big bucks with the antlers, and they don't care about, you know, the female deer and the deer that, you know, reproduce, and nothing really gets done. So we had the Southampton Hospital, the same thing. We went to them. They don't want anybody on the property.
Yeah.
They have a huge field over there.
I think it kind of also falls on me because I'm a supporter of Ducks Unlimited, Eastern Suffolk chapter, and they're also big conservationists. I did reach out. Everybody was on vacation when we first spoke about it in July.
Right.
Let me see if I can persuade my DU brothers and sisters. DU is a nationally, internationally recognized environmental conservationist organization that cures waterfowl and deer, among other things.
Mhm.
So their assessment of environmentalists and scientists carry a lot of weight. So let me see if we can get some DU halo effect,
Great.
because it seems like you're really pushing water uphill, and it's Herculean work. But if this,
Well, word
my
about
perspective would be if a recognized organization like DU, which is known in Canada, the United States, and Mexico, says, look, this does make sense,
Mhm.
perhaps that will help some amelioration. Otherwise, this is just a battleground per parcel for every single
right.
property, and it's a crapshoot.
But I mean, just to ask the question, at the end of the day, what we need is authorization to get on these sites. These are the key ones they would like.
Agreed. There are private
How is that
property.
going to help? What you're suggesting going to help us to get on these
It's
sites?
sort of like asking for support, and if you do that in conjunction, just another case study with the United Way, you may have a higher probability, is all I'm suggesting.
Okay.
Is with a DU, a national organization, we're collaborating with DU and its local chapter to help solve a curing issue. Would you work with us?
Is there any way to use social media, the Instagram account, to socialize this?
Oh, the mayor.
I know, but he doesn't want to make it public, but somehow change the conversation. And you don't have to answer right now, but I think a lot of it is just,
Yeah.
what's the conversation? And how do we message it?
Let me, DU has a powerful, effective, to Jeannie's point also, marketing capability that is localized science and effort. Let me see if I can call some favorites from the Memphis office, because
I have an
the
idea.
chairman was a former congressman and he's a friend of mine, Adam Putman, and they get it. And the chairman's been here in Southampton several times.
Right.
So now that we're getting into the season and everybody's awake, dusting off their, let's just call it apparatus, I think they're probably more attuned to the cause.
Okay.
This it's got to
Well,
be
anyhow.
challenging for you, Mike. I mean, it's a hell of a work you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. Question, Michael, Cooper's Neck Pond, Southampton Village is the owner, 10.5 acres. Why is it on that list? Is the village not letting him in there?
Well, no. The mayor asked me the same question when he saw this list. He said
Okay.
the exact same. What is this doing on the list? How come we're not in there?
Okay.
And I said, because it's village-owned property and we haven't received permission. He said, well, you got it now. So I said, okay.
Okay, so that parcel is now,
Yes.
okay, it's a great parcel.
What page
That's
is
the one
that on,
behind the
Richard?
library. Huh? It's page 2, bottom. It's the one behind the library, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I go there regularly. It's
We have the benefit of Joe being here. Joe, you know, you being involved now with the township. We all know that there's plenty of deer across that county road. Perhaps the township and a village collaboration as a wider radius.
I'll look into it.
Thanks, buddy.
good thought. I did read the deer management plan that the Southampton town put together. In fact, it was our former associate Michael Lieberman had worked on that. It's 75 pages. It was completed in 2015 with good recommendation, and the town did nothing with the document.
Maybe you should just dust it up like that blue book.
Certainly the previous town supervisor was not into that at all. I don't know if Mrs. Moore has a different opinion. But yes, we can try to cure our issue in a small 6.5 square mile, but if the town in its own 65 square mile doesn't do it, it's just, we're just, it's like, taking a bucket and trying to empty a boat that's taking on water, and it's still going to take on water.
Well, because
You're right.
they're coming in from all different directions.
Yep.
And they're certainly crossing that county road in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Okay.
Michelle, I have a question for you. I know you know Michael very well. You've spoken to him in the past.
I know who?
Michael Testori,
Yes.
you know him very well.
Yeah, well, I know him.
You were concerned about the properties up by you. Is there any place he could put a stand up by you? Do you know?
Well, I had asked him to hunt on my property,
Right.
and he had installed a
Tree stand.
tree something, and he had killed a few deers. There are plenty of deers there in the abandoned.
Right.
Yeah, across your driveway,
now
yeah.
Abandoned the White House next to me. So that whole area is full of
Right.
families of deer. And I had asked him recently if he could do something about it, and I think he told me he had authorization from the current owner of the Platts property, but he has not been there. I have not
The
seen
bank was there an old bank or some commercial building that was there?
Yes,
a
that's
law
right.
firm.
Yeah. He has not received permission to hunt on that property.
He has not.
He has not. And he's tried to contact them several times. So I said I would talk to you about another spot that we might be able to locate over there
Okay.
to put a
I
stand.
know the owners of both properties. I can send them a text. And
That would be great.
okay, I'll do it.
Thank you.
Okay. So, good conversation on that, the things we need to do. are there any other project that this, we got a lot on our plate. Is there any other project that this commission is thinking to work on? I do know, Jacob, you are reaching out to Suffolk County Water Authority to possibly present next October
3rd.
meeting, October 3rd. You want to speak about that a bit?
Yeah, hopefully scheduling didn't work today to discuss sustainability best practices in reducing water waste, and particularly with some of the larger properties in the village that typically causes strain during the peak summers when we don't necessarily get the kind of water tables we're looking for with the rainfall in the aquifer. Hopefully we can have a suggested presentation made on October 3rd. And to our very, very good fortune, one of our own great legacy public servants, Tim Bishop, who also thankfully is a friend, happens to be on the board of Suffolk County Water Authority, and he'd like to chime in and assist on some best practices as well. So I'll work on that and hopefully have Daniel do a Zoom AV presentation on October 3rd. I'll work on that and let everyone know.
Yep. So yeah, just a week prior, if you can let me know, so I'll have
Absolutely.
make sure to put it on the schedule. I see up on the board the name of Alex Wallach. Is Alex on to update us on the Sage? Is Alex on? I see his name up there. Alex, wonderful. We don't see you, but we see your name. Thank you for your patience. Alex, do you want to maybe update the commission and the public in terms of some of the key items that you've been working on?
Sure. So we're continuing to make some progress and improvements on procedures that operate before the land use board. I'm working closely with the new zoning board on updating their application materials to help clarify expectations. We've had the zoning board and the planning board both adopt new procedures about submissions that are made to the board to clarify any confusion about deadlines and things, and I expect that the architectural review board will follow suit. We're going to make all of that available on the website to help answer a lot of common questions about how and where they can submit things that are intended, and also where the public can find documents. We're also working with the trustees on some ongoing planning projects to implement some recommendations of the comprehensive plan. There's some potential code changes that have been referred to Suffolk County and are scheduled for public hearing about eliminating unused parts of the zoning code and making amendments, for example, to the multifamily residential district that were recommended in the comp plan. There's also some ongoing studies you may remember for workforce and affordable housing that we're making some progress on. And we're going to be working with the Architectural Review Board on potential expansion of the historic district, and we were recently granted some grant funding from the state to support that effort.
Alex,
grant money.
Alex, thank you for that. Can you just dig in just a little deeper on workforce housing, where we are in terms of the discussion?
Yeah, so I think the trustees last had a presentation from their planning consultant at BFJ.
That's right.
They present a conceptual framework for a code change that would look to allow small multifamily projects in the village's office corridors, and that's namely on North Sea Road and on Hampton Road, with the idea being that allowing more residential density there in exchange for a portion of those developments being set aside for workforce housing, and there'd be certain percentages and income requirements associated with that. So right now, the village board is considering that concept and the recommendation that they've made at the trustees meeting. And so if the trustees want to go forward with that concept, it would just be a matter of codifying that into the zoning ordinance and then scheduling a public hearing to amend the code accordingly. But the general idea is that where on those two corridors where we kind of have a mix of offices and legacy residential, but where we know there's been more of a market towards residential conversion to potentially take advantage of that demand and allow for density that would have the character of single-family homes, but would allow for small multi-units like duplexes, triplexes, and things like that.
Okay. Any questions from any commission members?
Any way I can help, Alex, let me know. Workforce Agent Place is something near and dear to us. We're doing our Reno HQ project in Nevada. It's 380,000 square feet, sustainable light gate steel modular housing. And it's all about sustainable workforce and age in place housing. I tried to do that here in the village. I was very happy when I chimed in on the trustee meeting that the subject is back in the inbox again.
That's great. Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to moving this to the next step and hopefully getting something adopted.
Okay, Alex, thank you very much. Before we close, just one operational question in terms of ethics training and signing the affidavit. I think those who needed to do it, have they done it and signed the affidavit?
Nope.
You haven't done it.
But it's on my list.
It's on your list, okay. Where did the affidavit go that you signed? Who did you send it
I
to?
think I just emailed it to the person that it was supposed to go to.
Do you recall who you sent it to?
I don't recall, but I'll trace it back in the email.
Yeah.
I'll check with it tomorrow.
Mr. Anderson, where are
Yes,
you
sir.
standing with that?
It's on my list.
It's on your list? Could we both commit that it's done by October 3rd, please?
We'll try.
I'm here tomorrow, Christian, so I'll email it to you again.
All right, appreciate that.
I can even
We
walk
do
it
want to
to the
show
village.
leadership when it comes to that topic.
And Christian, I believe there may be one or two members that I think the personnel department was still waiting for some paperwork from. So if there's any new members, if they could just follow up to make sure.
That's why I haven't gotten it done. Personnel problems.
Oh, you're having personnel problems?
No, they are.
Sorry, Alex, what are you talking about? Whose personnel problem? What's that?
I was told that I think there was still some outstanding forms, I think from some of the new members that the personnel department wanted completed.
I know in my case that's all been resolved.
Okay.
I'm in the village tomorrow, so I guess I can double check.
I think
I'm pretty sure I got that email
there were-
confirmation.
there
That was
were-
okay.
I think there was an issue circulating on financial disclosure statements that are due by everybody May 15th every year. Is that, Alex, what you could be talking about?
I believe this was start paperwork and things like that.
Okay.
For the new members.
I'll send
Well,
an email
the
again
new
tomorrow.
members know who they are, so if they can
Yeah,
sort that out,
I-
that'd be
I-
great.
Did you
Yeah.
reach out to whoever? Because as far as I know, I think I filled everything out.
Yeah,
so
so did
wouldn't
I.
know.
Yeah, I think you were away, Alex, when all that was an open matter.
Okay.
As I
And
recall.
it may be by now. I just wanted
Yeah.
to make sure I brought it up. Thank you.
Cheers.
Alex, thank you very much. Is there anything further or public comments? We have a trustee sitting in the back. Does he have anything to add or? Well, a town, a water trustee or whatever you, okay, thank you. Great, so if there's nothing further, it is now 6:32, and I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting. The next date will be October 3rd. Do I have a second?
Second.
Michael, thank you. Everyone in favor, thank you.